During a rig move, a surge tank that was positioned very near to the catwalk needed to be lifted onto a trailer. The field crew reached the site where the task was to be performed. In order to place a 4-leg sling on the bottom beam of the load, a rig permit to work was prepared by the testing engineer, who sent a field specialist to get it approved. There was no face-to-face discussion about the implementation of the permit to work conditions. There were non-compliances with the requirements of the HSE Mechanical Lifting Standard 13, as there was no lifting plan created for the job, and there was no pre-job safety meeting with all parties involved. The employee squeezed himself into a narrow gap between a section of the rig catwalk and the surge tank. The lifting supervisor positioned himself under the crane boom. Neither the crane operator nor the lifting supervisor were aware of the personnel positioned behind the surge tank. As soon as the tank was lifted off the ground, the load swung towards the rig catwalk. The shift of the load crushed the employee between the edge of the catwalk and the grill on the side of the surge tank. All efforts were made to rush the employee to the hospital, but it was not enough to save his life. Let's review the accident again, this time paying attention to the correct and safe practices. All line managers and supervisors must ensure all steps to manage risk in our operations are understood and followed each and every time. Accountability for safe operations lies with the most senior line manager on site. Compliance with HSE Standard 13 and 23, including lessons learned from previous events, must be treated with extreme importance to prevent recurrence of injuries and loss of life. Frequent checks must be done to make sure all the proper actions to comply with the relevant HSE standards, as well as actions and learning from past HSE alerts, have been effectively implemented. A lifting plan must be created by the lifting supervisor with involvement of all relevant parties to make sure all safety steps in the mechanical lifting operations are properly planned and understood. A pre-job safety meeting must be held by the lifting supervisor to make sure everyone, including contractors who are involved in the operation, clearly understand conditions and actions specified in the permit to work, HARC, or visual HARC and lifting plan. In any lifting operation, the banksman or lifting supervisor must be clearly identified. The banksman or lifting supervisor in this scenario must be completely in control of the lifting operation and ensure that the area is clear of personnel before signaling the crane operator to lift the load. In this scenario, the death of a colleague could have been prevented if a correct lifting plan and pre-job safety meeting was performed, and everyone knew their role and responsibility. The lift had not commenced before ensuring personnel were clear of the lift area or red zone. Someone stopped him from positioning himself in such a narrow space. A more senior line manager could have also intervened to check the permit to work, lifting plan, and pre-job safety meeting. Last but not least, it is our duty to stop and intervene wherever we see or face an unsafe situation.